He dreamed of her every night, the tiny crowned one. From the hidden circle, Evan lived on the far edge of known space, on a station that most people forgot even existed. The station moved slowly around a dull blue star, too weak to warm the metal walls but bright enough to keep the lights alive. Evan worked as a maintenance worker. His days were quiet. He fixed doors, checked airlines, and cleaned machines that no one truly understood anymore. The station was old, and so were its secrets. Every night, Evan dreamed of her. The dream was always the same, but it never felt boring. He stood in a wide, dark place with no floor and no sky. Light moved in slow circles around him, like breathing. In the center stood a small figure. She was not tall, not strong in body, but she carried a tiny crown that floated above her head. The crown was simple, smooth, and made of light. Her eyes glowed softly, full of sadness and patience. She never spoke. She only looked at him, as if waiting. When Evan woke up, his heart always raced. His hands shook. Sometimes his eyes were wet, though he never cried in the dream. He could still feel her presence, like a memory that refused to fade. He often checked the time and found he had slept longer than planned, even when alarms should have woken him. At first, he thought it was stress. Life on the edge of space did strange things to the mind. But then the marks appeared. Thin lines showed on his wrist one morning, glowing faintly and fading within minutes. They looked like symbols, but he could not understand them. The station doctor said it was nothing. Skin reaction. Nerve memory. Evan did not argue, but deep inside, he knew the truth was heavier. The dreams were changing him. One evening, while Evan worked in a lower engine hall, the station lights flickered. That alone was normal. What followed was not. Every screen on the wall turned black. Then, one line of light appeared. It moved in a pattern that made Evan stop breathing. It was the same rhythm as the dream. The alarm did not sound. No warning came from central control. Only that silent signal, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. Evan stepped closer without thinking. His tools slipped from his hands. His mind felt warm, as if something familiar had opened inside it. The signal vanished. Moments later, the station returned to normal. Screens showed no error. Logs showed nothing unusual. When Evan reported it, supervisors waved him away. Old systems glitch, they said. Edge stations always do that. That night, the dream was stronger. The small crowned one stood closer. The circle of light behind her widened, revealing shadows moving at its edge. Evan felt fear for the first time, not for himself, but for her. He reached out, and for a brief moment, his fingers touched warmth. He woke with his hand raised. The next day, a message arrived from Central Command. A research ship was being sent to investigate an unknown signal detected near the station. The location was strange. The region was marked as empty space, removed from all public maps long ago. No reason was given. Evan felt cold. He was not surprised when his name appeared on the crew list. The ship was small but strong. It carried only a few people. The pilot was Lyra, a woman with calm eyes and steady hands. She spoke little but watched everything. The systems expert was Owen, a man who joked too much when nervous. There were two others, both quiet researchers who trusted numbers more than feelings. Evan was there as technical support. As the ship left the station, Evan looked back once. For a moment, he thought he saw light moving around the old metal walls, like the circle from his dream. Then the ship jumped into deep space. The journey took longer than expected. Instruments behaved strangely. Time markers drifted by seconds, then minutes. Owen complained, but Evan fixed problems before they fully appeared. He did not know how he knew what to do. His hands simply moved. Lyra noticed. She asked him how he learned those techniques. Evan had no answer. He said it felt right. She nodded, as if that explanation was enough. As they moved closer to the hidden region, the stars changed. Some dimmed, others bent, stretching like reflections in water. The researchers recorded everything, whispering in awe and fear. Then the ship slowed on its own. In front of them floated a structure. It was massive, yet smooth. No engines, no lights, no damage. It looked unfinished and ancient at the same time. It did not orbit anything. It simply existed, as if space itself allowed it. Scans returned nothing. No metal, no energy. Yet it was there. The moment Evan looked at it, the mark on his wrist returned, glowing brighter than before. The crowned one appeared in his mind, closer than ever. Her eyes were no longer sad. They were urgent. The ship was pulled forward. Lyra fought the controls, but nothing responded. Owen shouted as screens filled with symbols no one recognized. The researchers screamed when the stars vanished completely. Then, everything stopped. Silence filled the ship. Gravity returned gently. Lights stabilized. Outside the windows was darkness, but not empty darkness. Shapes moved, slow and careful, like thoughts forming. A doorway opened in the structure ahead. Evan stood before anyone told him to. He walked forward, each step heavy with meaning. The air felt thick but kind. When he reached the doorway, the structure responded. Light traced paths under his feet. The others watched, frozen. Inside was the circle from his dreams. The crowned one stood at its center. For the first time, she spoke. Her voice was soft, clear, and full of age. She said his name. The sound echoed through the chamber and through Evan's bones. He fell to his knees, not in fear, but in understanding. The dreams had been a call, a test, a bridge. Behind her, the circle brightened, and shadows pressed closer. She looked at him with hope. At last, a human had answered. And far away, something old and hungry began to move. The moment Evan stepped through the glowing doorway, the rest of the crew hesitated. Lyra and Owen called for him to stop, but their voices seemed to vanish in the strange space. The chamber stretched far beyond the eyes, walls bending slightly, like the room was alive. Light moved under their feet, flowing in paths that seemed drawn by thought itself. Evan felt the crowned one, Ira, before he even saw her again. Her small form floated slightly above the ground, crown glowing softly, eyes now steady and commanding. She did not speak immediately. Instead, she let the circle of light respond to him, opening wider, revealing images that danced on the edges of reality. Shadows twisted, forming shapes that looked like cities, forests, oceans, but all distorted, like echoes of worlds that might exist. He did not understand, but something deep inside told him he was not afraid. His hands hovered over the symbols on the floor, as if he had done this before. As soon as he touched the first glowing mark, a wave of energy surged through him. The walls pulsed gently, and the shadows recoiled. The other crew members stared in awe and fear. Lyra tried to step forward, but her boots met no solid floor. Owen shouted at the instruments, but the machines displayed only abstract lines of light. The researchers trembled, their data useless. Only Evan could interact with the space. It obeyed him in ways he could not explain. Ira's voice finally came, calm, and soft, reaching only his mind. She spoke words that were not language but thought. They slid into his memory, revealing glimpses of knowledge he had never learned. The circle was a map, a guide to things older than stars. It showed hidden corridors of space, lost to maps, removed deliberately long ago. The region beyond was alive, aware, and waiting. Evan realized the dreams had been preparation. They had been a way to teach him to understand this space, to feel it before he could walk it. The marks on his wrist, the flashes of knowledge, even the instinct to fix broken systems on the ship, all were connected. He was not chosen by accident. Lyra stepped closer, moving cautiously, but her feet sank slightly into the floor. Evan reached for her, guiding her hand to a glowing symbol. Instantly, her boots touched the floor again, solid. Relief showed in her eyes, but her voice shook. She asked how he knew what to do. He only shook his head. He could not explain. He did not fully understand himself. The others followed, one by one, each guided by Evan. Each felt the energy of the circle respond differently. One researcher, Mara, found herself hovering slightly above the ground when she stepped on the right mark. Another, Tomas, felt warmth and a strange memory of a world he had never seen. Evan realized the circle did more than guide. It tested, awakened, and connected. Ira motioned, and the shadows at the edge of the light moved back. She gestured toward a doorway that had not been visible before. Beyond it, more light and more impossible shapes waited. Evan felt a pull, a sense that he had to lead the crew forward. Fear was there, yes, but mixed with certainty. They had to step inside. The crew obeyed, each movement tentative but synchronized. As they entered the new chamber, walls shifted to accommodate them. The light traced new paths beneath their feet. Evan noticed that the circle reacted directly to his presence. When he hesitated, light dimmed. When he stepped boldly, it brightened. The chamber seemed to breathe with him, alive and aware. Ira spoke again in thought, showing images of beings unlike any the crew had seen. Some were large, mechanical, shaped from pure energy. Others were small, delicate, and fast-moving, like living shadows. All of them were remnants of a civilization long gone, scattered across the hidden space. She explained that these forms had once tried to dominate or destroy humans. They feared the species they thought too weak to survive. Humanity, she revealed, had been protected in secret by the hidden circle, her people who withdrew into this hidden dimension. The crew listened, some fascinated, some skeptical, but Evan felt truth in every vision. The dreams, the markings, the instinct, it all made sense now. Humanity had potential beyond what anyone had imagined. Not rulers yet, not servants, but capable of something unique. Suddenly, a wave of movement rippled through the chamber. Shadows at the edges of the light flickered violently, forming shapes of machines, weapons, and creatures that had been sealed away for centuries. They moved slowly, deliberate, like predators studying prey. The crew froze. Even Lyra held her breath, gripping the rail of a glowing platform. Evan stepped forward. The circle responded to him immediately, forming a shield of light around the crew. The shadows hesitated, as if uncertain how to attack. The moment passed, leaving only tension. Ira's presence remained calm, but her eyes reflected urgency. Something was approaching from outside the hidden space, drawn by the awakening of the circle. Owen attempted to access the ship's instruments, hoping to call for help. Nothing worked. Data screens went blank. Lights blinked in patterns that made no sense. Only the circle and Evan could interpret what was happening. He guided Owen's hands to a glowing symbol, and immediately the instruments returned to normal, but only partially. Machines now obeyed human touch in ways impossible before. The crew began to understand that this space responded to them emotionally and mentally, not technically. Hours, or perhaps minutes, for time behaved strangely here, passed as they explored. Each chamber revealed new wonders, gardens with plants that glowed softly, rivers of light instead of water, and artifacts that seemed to hum with memory. Evan felt a connection to each discovery, as if the hidden circle had anticipated a human guide who could restore balance, understand the space, and protect what remained. Ira spoke again, this time directing Evan to a room filled with ancient symbols. The walls depicted humans walking alongside strange beings, forming alliances, and building civilizations in secret. Evan saw humans fighting, surviving, adapting. The visions told stories of resilience. She communicated that the hidden circle had watched over humans because of their potential to survive and thrive where others could not. The crew began to see the truth. They realized that the journey they were on was not only exploration, but awakening. Humanity was being invited to step into a greater role, one that required courage, intelligence, and adaptability. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the chambers, not a mechanical sound, not a voice, but a low, vibrating resonance that shook the walls. Shadows recoiled, and light shifted violently. Evan knew instinctively that the danger they sensed was real. Something had entered the hidden space, drawn to their presence. The crowned one, Ira, moved closer. She projected thoughts into Evan's mind, instructing him to guide the crew to safety, while understanding the pattern of the new intruders. Each movement he made, each symbol he activated, changed the space itself, creating pathways that could only be navigated by humans guided by intuition. The crew moved, Evan leading them with steady confidence. The intruders followed, but the path shifted as Evan and the circle worked together. The shadows tried to breach the light, but every step Evan took strengthened the shield. He understood that the space tested not only courage but adaptability, and humans were responding unlike any species before. Finally, the crew reached a platform suspended above a river of glowing light. The intruders stopped at the edge, unable to follow. Evan looked at Ira, whose small figure floated above the circle, eyes reflecting pride and relief. The chamber relaxed, light pulsing gently, and the intruders faded back into the darkness of the hidden space. The crew breathed again, hearts racing but safe. They looked at Evan with newfound respect and awe. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like a bridge between the human crew and a space that was alive, aware, and full of secrets waiting for humans to uncover. Ira communicated her gratitude silently, her crown glowing brighter for a moment. Evan understood that their journey was only beginning. The hidden space had chosen to reveal itself slowly, testing the limits of humanity. The real challenge lay ahead, in learning, adapting, and surviving. As the crew prepared to explore further, Evan felt the weight of responsibility. He was no longer just a maintenance worker on a forgotten station. He was a guide, a connector, a human capable of understanding spaces and beings beyond imagination. The hidden region was no longer a mystery. It was a proving ground, and humans were beginning to prove themselves. And far beyond the walls of the hidden space, other watchers stirred, sensing the awakening. The real test was coming, one that would challenge the courage, intelligence, and unity of the human crew. Yet Evan knew one thing for certain: they were ready, and the crowned one, Ira, would be with them, guiding the way, one step at a time. The hidden structure continued to stretch endlessly as Evan and the crew followed Ira deeper. Each step revealed wonders that defied human understanding. Light moved like liquid under their feet, forming pathways that seemed to anticipate their intentions. The crew marveled at gardens that glowed with soft energy, rivers that shimmered like liquid crystal, and towers carved from light itself. Despite the beauty, a sense of unease lingered. Shadows still lingered at the edges, watching and waiting. Evan felt Ira's presence guiding him more clearly now. The small crowned one floated just above the ground, her eyes reflecting wisdom far beyond human years. She did not speak aloud, but her thoughts entered his mind effortlessly. She showed him visions of humans long ago, struggling in worlds unknown, facing threats that nearly erased them. Her people, the Hidden Circle, had intervened, creating secret sanctuaries to protect humanity. Evan realized that the dreams he had experienced were only the beginning of a connection that had existed for centuries. The crew followed Evan cautiously. Lyra moved with steady confidence now, trusting his guidance. Owen kept close, still trying to rationalize the impossible with machines and instruments that no longer made sense. Mara and Tomas, the researchers, recorded everything they could. Though the data defied comprehension, every room seemed to test their minds, challenging them to see beyond the ordinary. In one chamber, Evan approached a wall covered with symbols. Light shifted and formed images of humans walking alongside strange beings. The beings were diverse, some mechanical, some organic, some entirely unlike any life known to humanity. The images showed humans learning, surviving, and adapting. They were not rulers, not servants, but capable of understanding and working with forces beyond their natural abilities. Evan's heart pounded as he realized that the Hidden Circle had not only protected humans, but had prepared them for something far greater. Suddenly, the floor beneath them shifted. The room expanded vertically, revealing a vast space where shadows moved like predators stalking prey. Machines made of light and energy slid along the edges of the room, observing, analyzing, waiting for a moment to strike. The crew froze in fear, but Evan stepped forward. The circle of light surrounding Ira responded instantly, forming protective barriers and channels for safe movement. The shadows hesitated, unsure how to interact with humans guided by the circle. Evan moved through the room, guiding the crew. Each step seemed instinctive, as if the hidden space itself recognized his authority. The intruders, machines and shadows, tested boundaries but could not penetrate the light when Evan led the way. He realized that human adaptability and intuition were unique in the galaxy, a power that no other species possessed. The Hidden Circle had recognized this potential and waited for the right moment to awaken it. Ira directed Evan toward a central platform where a new chamber awaited. The platform hovered over a river of glowing energy, suspended above an endless void. As they reached the center, symbols formed in midair, depicting stories of humans confronting impossible odds. The crew watched in awe as the visions revealed struggles and victories across time and space, each one emphasizing human resilience. Evan felt a surge of pride and responsibility, understanding that their journey was not just exploration, but a test of humanity itself. As they absorbed the visions, the shadows stirred again. This time they moved faster, closer to the platform. Evan instinctively guided the crew to form a circle, activating symbols on the floor that projected barriers of pure light. The shadows hesitated, unsure how to navigate the shifting energy. Lyra and Owen followed Evan's lead, stepping on symbols that strengthened the circle's defense. Mara and Tomas found their recordings glowing with energy, preserving the knowledge in a form that could survive the coming trials. The shadows withdrew momentarily, but Evan knew they would return. He turned to Ira, who communicated urgency and trust. She revealed more of the Hidden Circle's history, showing how her people had once ruled vast regions of the galaxy, shaping civilizations while remaining unseen. They had withdrawn, allowing humans to grow without interference. Now, with the hidden space awakened, humans were being invited to step into a role they had never imagined. Evan realized that the Crowned One's presence was more than guidance. It was a link to a power that could shape reality itself. The circle responded to human thought, emotion, and intent, creating a bond that allowed them to interact with spaces and beings beyond comprehension. The crew felt it too, a sense of connection that transcended fear and doubt. Suddenly, a pulse of energy rippled through the chamber. The shadows responded, moving in coordinated patterns as if communicating with each other. Suddenly, Evan guided the crew, activating new symbols that created pathways and protective zones. The space seemed to react in real time, testing their ability to adapt and work together. Every decision, every movement, every thought had consequences. The crew navigated the chamber, with Evan leading, each step strengthening their bond with the circle. Lyra's confidence grew, her piloting skills now extending beyond the ship to the movement through the hidden space. Owen's technical mind adapted to the energy patterns, finding logic in the chaos. Mara and Tomas absorbed knowledge at an unprecedented pace, recording and understanding what had been hidden for centuries. At the end of the chamber, a new doorway appeared, shimmering with light. Beyond it lay a room filled with artifacts that pulsed with memory and power. Ira directed Evan to approach a central pedestal where a small, glowing object rested. It was delicate, yet its presence was commanding. As Evan touched it, visions of ancient battles, lost civilizations, and human perseverance flooded his mind. He understood that this object was a key, a tool that could unlock potential not only for humans, but for the hidden circle itself. The shadows stirred once more, sensing the activation of the key. They moved faster, more aggressively, but Evan's connection with Ira and the circle allowed him to anticipate their moves. He guided the crew in a coordinated response, using symbols and pathways to neutralize the threat without harm. The shadows dissipated, retreating into the edges of the hidden space, leaving the crew shaken but unharmed. Evan realized that the hidden space was alive in a way humans could barely comprehend. It tested, protected, and guided those who could understand it. The hidden circle had created this environment as both a sanctuary and a proving ground, and humans were finally capable of navigating it successfully. The crew paused, catching their breath and taking in the incredible surroundings. Evan felt a mixture of awe, responsibility, and determination. He understood that their journey was far from over. The hidden space had more to reveal, more tests to present, and more truths to uncover. Humanity was being awakened to a reality that stretched beyond the stars, and they were ready to face it. Ira floated closer to Evan, her crown glowing softly. Her presence was comforting, yet commanding. She conveyed gratitude and reassurance, letting Evan know that he and the crew were succeeding. The space around them shifted, forming new pathways and rooms filled with wonders yet unseen. The hidden space had accepted humans as worthy, capable of understanding, adapting, and surviving. As they moved toward the new chambers, Evan felt a deep connection with Ira and the hidden space itself. The crew followed, united in purpose and awe. Each step was deliberate, guided by intuition, courage, and the bond with the circle. Shadows and challenges remained, but Evan understood that humans were no longer passive observers. They were participants in a larger reality, capable of shaping their own destiny and interacting with forces beyond comprehension. Far beyond the hidden space, other watchers stirred, sensing the awakening of humanity. Old powers and ancient beings took notice, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Evan and the crew were unaware of the scale of what was coming, but they were ready in their own way. The hidden space had chosen them, guided them, and revealed their potential. Humanity was stepping into a new chapter, and the journey had only just begun. Evan paused on a platform overlooking a vast chamber filled with glowing rivers and floating islands of light. He turned to his crew, seeing determination and trust in their eyes. They were not just explorers anymore. They were pioneers in a realm that defied comprehension. Ira's presence remained with them, guiding and protecting, yet allowing them the freedom to act, learn, and grow. The hidden space pulsed around them, alive and aware. Evan felt the responsibility, the weight of knowledge, and the thrill of discovery. The shadows at the edges moved, watching, waiting, but the humans had proven themselves capable. They had passed the first tests and were ready for whatever lay ahead. The journey continued deeper into the hidden space, each step revealing new wonders, challenges, and secrets. Evan knew that the true test was yet to come, that humanity's role in the galaxy was only beginning to unfold. The crowned one, Ira, remained a constant presence, a guide and a symbol of the Hidden Circle's trust. The crew followed, united and determined, stepping into a future that stretched beyond imagination, prepared to face the mysteries and dangers that awaited them. The hidden space shifted as Evan led the crew into a vast chamber unlike any they had seen before. The floor was made of flowing light that changed color with each step, and islands of solid ground hovered above glowing rivers. The walls curved impossibly, showing glimpses of distant galaxies and stars, some of which had never been recorded by human telescopes. The crew moved carefully, each step a balance between awe and fear, but Evan felt a growing confidence. He had begun to understand the language of the space, the rhythm of the circle, and the presence of the crowned one, Ira. Ira floated just above the light, guiding him silently. Her small crown glowed brighter as if responding to his understanding. She projected images into Evan's mind, showing battles and invasions that had occurred in secret across the galaxy. Some species had tried to destroy humanity, believing them weak. Others had tried to manipulate them, keeping them in chains of ignorance. The Hidden Circle had intervened each time, protecting humans from harm and ensuring they survived. Evan realized that every instinct, every skill he had acquired, and every dream had prepared him for this journey. The crew followed him closely. Lyra's hands gripped the edges of floating platforms, her eyes wide with amazement. Owen analyzed the glowing rivers, trying to calculate patterns, while Mara and Tomas recorded every detail. The chambers tested their minds and bodies, forcing them to adapt. Evan guided them through pathways that shifted, creating new routes and closing old ones. The space seemed alive, aware of their presence and responding to their thoughts. Suddenly, the shadows at the edges of the chamber moved. Unlike before, they did not retreat. They advanced, forming shapes that resembled predators, machines, and strange creatures. Evan felt a pulse of fear but pushed it aside. The circle responded to his determination, forming protective barriers and channels for movement. The shadows hesitated, testing the humans. They had not encountered beings that adapted so quickly. Evan directed the crew to form a circle. Lyra and Owen stepped on glowing symbols that strengthened the protective field. Mara and Thomas activated devices that absorbed energy from the floor, creating temporary shields. Evan moved with precision, anticipating the shadows' movements and guiding the crew. The intruders tested the boundaries but could not breach the light. For the first time, the crew felt a true sense of empowerment within the hidden space. Ira communicated thoughts that revealed more about the hidden circle. She showed how her people had once ruled galaxies with wisdom and foresight, shaping civilizations while remaining unseen. They had withdrawn when other species became too aggressive, leaving humans to grow without interference. Now, with the hidden space awakened, humans were being invited to take part in a reality beyond their understanding. They were being tested not just for survival, but for wisdom, adaptability, and courage. The shadows tried again, moving faster, coordinating their attack with precision. Evan guided the crew to higher platforms that formed new patterns of light. The intruders followed but struggled to navigate the shifting space. Each decision Evan made influenced the environment, creating safe paths and barriers. The crew began to understand that their thoughts and intentions shaped the hidden space. Human creativity and adaptability were powerful tools that no other species could match. As they advanced, Evan noticed a massive doorway forming ahead. The chamber responded to his presence, opening a passage that had been invisible until now. Beyond it lay a room filled with glowing artifacts, each one radiating energy and memory. Ira directed him toward a central pedestal where a small object hovered, glowing softly. Evan reached out and touched it, and visions flooded his mind. Ancient battles, lost civilizations, humans surviving against impossible odds. He understood that this object was a key, capable of unlocking potential for both humans and the hidden circle. The shadows responded immediately, sensing the activation of the key. They moved with aggression, but Evan guided the crew in a coordinated defense. Each symbol they activated strengthened the barriers, and the shadows recoiled. Lyra and Owen's movements synchronized perfectly with Evan's guidance. Mara and Tomas recorded energy patterns that would be invaluable for understanding the hidden space. Together, they demonstrated the unique human ability to adapt, strategize, and survive. The shadows withdrew, leaving the chamber calm but tense. Evan turned to the crew, seeing determination and awe in their eyes. They had faced impossible challenges and survived. The hidden space had revealed its first true test, and humans had passed. Evan felt a sense of pride, but also the weight of responsibility. They were no longer mere explorers. They were participants in a reality that required courage, wisdom, and unity. Ira floated closer, her crown glowing softly. She communicated gratitude and reassurance, letting Evan know that the hidden circle trusted him and the crew. The space shifted again, forming new pathways and rooms filled with wonders and challenges yet unseen. Evan understood that their journey was far from over. The hidden space had more to teach, more tests to present, and more truths to reveal. Humanity was being awakened to a reality that stretched beyond the stars, and they were ready to face it. The crew moved forward, united and determined. Each step was deliberate, guided by intuition, courage, and the connection with the circle. Shadows and challenges remained, but Evan knew that humans were uniquely capable of navigating this space. They had adapted, learned, and survived, proving their potential. The hidden space pulsed around them, alive and aware, acknowledging their abilities. As they advanced deeper into the hidden chambers, Evan felt the presence of other watchers. Far beyond the walls of this secret dimension, beings who had observed humanity from afar began to stir. Ancient powers and long-forgotten entities sensed the awakening of human potential. Evan and the crew were unaware of the scale of what was coming, but they were prepared in their own way. The hidden space had chosen them, guided them, and revealed their abilities. Humanity was stepping into a new chapter, ready to face mysteries and dangers beyond imagination. Evan paused on a floating platform overlooking a vast expanse of glowing rivers and islands of light. He turned to the crew, seeing trust, determination, and curiosity in their eyes. They were no longer just explorers. They were pioneers in a realm that defied comprehension. Ira's presence remained, guiding them, protecting them, and allowing them the freedom to act and learn. The space pulsed around them, alive and responsive, testing them but also preparing them for what lay ahead. The journey continued, deeper into the hidden space. Each step revealed new wonders, challenges, and secrets. Evan understood that the real tests were yet to come, that humanity's role in the galaxy was only beginning to unfold. The crowned one, Ira, remained a constant presence, a guide and symbol of trust. The crew followed, united and determined, stepping into a future that stretched beyond imagination, prepared to face the mysteries and dangers awaiting them. The hidden space shifted once more as Evan led the crew toward the next chamber. The pathways of glowing light twisted and bent, creating a maze that seemed alive. Islands of solid ground hovered above rivers of energy that pulsed with every step they took. The crew moved cautiously, but confidence had begun to replace fear. Evan had learned to read the rhythms of the space, to anticipate changes, and to guide his team through challenges that no human had faced before. Ira floated just above the light, her crown glowing softly. She projected thoughts and images into Evan's mind, showing him the history of the hidden circle. Her people had once ruled galaxies with wisdom and foresight. They had shaped civilizations, nurtured life, and intervened only when necessary. When other species became too aggressive, the hidden circle withdrew, leaving humans to grow and evolve without interference. Evan realized that the dreams, the instincts, and the knowledge he had gained were all part of a careful preparation for this moment. The shadows returned, moving with more coordination and aggression than before. They had sensed the humans' adaptation and now tested them harder. Machines made of light and energy, creatures formed from shadows, and forms that defied description advanced toward the crew. Evan did not hesitate. The circle responded to his determination, forming protective barriers and channels for movement. The shadows tested every boundary but could not breach the light when guided by humans who had learned to adapt. Evan directed the crew to form a circle. Lyra and Owen stepped on symbols that strengthened the protective field, while Mara and Tomas activated devices that absorbed energy from the floor, creating shields. Every move they made was deliberate, each decision shaping the space itself. The shadows recoiled, unable to predict human adaptability. Evan understood that their greatest strength was creativity and intuition, qualities no other species possessed in the same measure. As they advanced, the chamber shifted again. Pathways opened to new platforms, suspended above glowing rivers. Islands of solid light revealed artifacts that pulsed with energy and memory. The crew moved cautiously, but with growing confidence. Evan guided them to a central pedestal, where a small object hovered, glowing softly. He touched it, and visions flooded his mind. Ancient battles, civilizations rising and falling, humans surviving against impossible odds. He understood that the object was a key, capable of unlocking potential for both humans and the hidden circle. The shadows reacted immediately, sensing the activation of the key. They moved aggressively, but Evan led the crew in a coordinated defense. Each symbol activated strengthened barriers, and the intruders recoiled. Lyra and Owen's movements synchronized perfectly with Evan's guidance. Mara and Tomas recorded energy patterns that could be studied later, preserving knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. Humans were proving themselves capable of navigating and influencing the hidden space like no other species could. After the shadows withdrew, Evan turned to the crew. Their eyes reflected awe, determination, and trust. They had survived impossible tests and had begun to understand the power of human adaptability and intuition. The hidden space pulsed around them, alive and aware, acknowledging their abilities. Evan felt the weight of responsibility, knowing that their actions had consequences far beyond the chamber. Ira projected images of a greater threat approaching, far beyond the hidden space. Forces that had long watched humanity were awakening. Ancient powers, some benevolent, others hostile, sensed the humans' potential. Evan understood that the journey ahead would be even more dangerous. The hidden space had chosen them for a reason, to prepare humanity for challenges that would test courage, wisdom, and unity. The crew moved forward, stepping onto new pathways formed by glowing light. Each step revealed more wonders, gardens that pulsed with energy, rivers of glowing liquid, and artifacts that held knowledge beyond human comprehension. The space responded to their emotions, thoughts, and intentions. They realized that survival here required not only courage but creativity and adaptability. Humans were learning to interact with the hidden space in a way no other species could. The shadows returned in a coordinated strike. Evan guided the crew through new barriers and channels, using the circle to create paths of protection. Lyra and Owen activated symbols to strengthen shields while Mara and Tomas recorded the energy flows. The shadows tested the humans' ability to adapt, but each challenge only made the crew stronger. Evan understood that these tests were not punishments but lessons, preparing them for greater challenges ahead. At the center of a new chamber, they found a massive structure of glowing light hovering above an endless void. Symbols formed in midair depicting humans confronting impossible odds and surviving. The crew watched in awe as visions of ancient human resilience unfolded before them. Evan realized that these visions were not just history, they were guidance. The hidden space was teaching them how to survive, adapt, and thrive. Suddenly, the shadows surged forward again, more aggressive than ever. Evan led the crew in a coordinated response, activating symbols and pathways that neutralized the threat without harm. The space itself seemed to respond to their unity and determination, forming barriers and channels that allowed them to advance. The crew began to understand that human strength lay in creativity, adaptability, and cooperation. After the threat subsided, Evan paused, taking in the vast chamber. The crew stood beside him, united and determined. They had passed a series of impossible tests, proving their ability to navigate and influence the hidden space. The shadows had retreated, but Evan knew they would return. The challenges ahead would be greater, but humans were proving themselves capable. Ira floated closer, her crown glowing softly. She communicated gratitude and reassurance, letting Evan know that the hidden circle trusted him and the crew. The space shifted again, forming new pathways and rooms filled with wonders and challenges yet unseen. Evan understood that their journey was far from over. Humanity was being awakened to a reality beyond the stars, and they were ready to face it. The crew moved forward, stepping into new chambers with confidence. Each step revealed new wonders, challenges, and secrets. Evan knew that the real tests were yet to come, that humanity's role in the galaxy was only beginning to unfold. The crowned one, Ira, remained a constant presence, a guide and symbol of trust. The crew followed, united and determined, stepping into a future that stretched beyond imagination, prepared to face the mysteries and dangers awaiting them. The final chamber of the hidden space stretched beyond imagination. Rivers of glowing light flowed like veins across the floor, carrying energy that pulsed in rhythm with the circle. Islands of solid ground hovered above the endless glow, and artifacts of immense power floated silently. Evan led the crew carefully, each step deliberate, guided by intuition and the connection he felt with Ira, the crowned one. She floated just above the light, crown shining with calm authority, her presence steadying the humans. The crew had grown confident. Lyra moved with precision across floating platforms, guiding the others when needed. Owen anticipated energy flows, understanding patterns that had once seemed impossible. Mara and Thomas recorded every detail, capturing knowledge that had been hidden for centuries. Each member of the crew now understood that survival in the hidden space depended on adaptability, unity, and human creativity. Evan approached the center of the chamber, where a massive circle of light hovered above a pedestal. Symbols formed in the air depicting humans facing threats, overcoming challenges, and surviving against impossible odds. He understood that this was the culmination of the tests, a proving ground for humanity. The circle pulsed with anticipation, ready to reveal the final truth. Ira projected thoughts into Evan's mind, showing the choices before him. Humanity could remain observers, guided but limited, or take a step further, embracing a role that could shape the future. She explained that other beings were awakening, sensing the humans' potential. Some would see them as threats, others as allies, but no species would understand the unique ability humans had to adapt, learn, and act beyond expectation. Suddenly, shadows appeared at the edges of the chamber. They were larger, faster, and more coordinated than ever. The crew braced themselves, but Evan felt no fear. The circle responded to him, forming protective barriers and pathways. Each symbol he activated strengthened their defenses and guided the crew through the pulsing energy of the chamber. Lyra, Owen, Mara, and Tomas followed seamlessly, their movements synchronized and precise. The shadows surged forward, testing the humans with speed and aggression. Evan guided the crew in a coordinated response, moving through symbols that created channels of light and protection. The intruders recoiled, unable to predict human creativity and adaptability. Evan realized that their greatest strength lay not in raw power, but in their ability to think, adapt, and act as one. The crew became more than individuals. They were a force that could shape the hidden space itself. At the center, the glowing pedestal reacted to Evan's presence. The symbols formed patterns that revealed secrets of the hidden circle, artifacts of power, and knowledge of civilizations lost to time. He reached out, and the circle of light expanded, enveloping the crew. The energy flowed through them, connecting each member in a bond of understanding and purpose. Evan felt the wisdom of the hidden circle, the resilience of humanity, and the responsibility that came with this knowledge. The shadows attempted one final surge, but the humans responded with precision and unity. Each step, each gesture, each decision, guided by Evan and the circle, created barriers and safe paths. The intruders were forced to retreat, fading into the edges of the hidden space. The chamber pulsed with calm energy, acknowledging the humans' success. They had passed the final test, proving that humanity could adapt, survive, and thrive even in impossible conditions. Ira projected visions of the wider galaxy. Systems that had been threatened were now safe. Observers from afar had taken notice, and the hidden circle's trust in humanity was complete. The crew understood that their role was not to dominate or rule, but to act with wisdom, courage, and unity. They were now participants in a galaxy that would challenge them in new ways, but they were ready. Evan felt a deep connection with Ira and the hidden space. He understood that their journey had prepared them for responsibilities beyond what they had imagined. The crew had grown, not just as explorers, but as humans capable of interacting with forces that shaped the galaxy. Each member of the team now carried knowledge, wisdom, and experience that would guide humanity's future. The chamber shifted again, opening pathways to rooms filled with glowing rivers, floating islands, and artifacts of immense power. The crew moved forward, confident and determined. Shadows lingered at the edges, but they no longer posed a threat. Humans had proven themselves capable of navigating the hidden space, of learning, adapting, and thriving. Evan knew that this was only the beginning, but he felt ready for whatever lay ahead. At the edge of the chamber, a doorway appeared, leading to a vast expanse where stars glimmered like jewels. Evan turned to the crew, seeing determination, trust, and awe in their eyes. They were no longer just explorers. They were pioneers, chosen to understand, learn, and act in ways that no other species could. Ira floated beside them, her presence reassuring and guiding. She would remain as a symbol of trust and a link to the hidden circle, allowing humanity to step into a new chapter. The hidden space pulsed around them, alive and aware, acknowledging their success. Evan felt the weight of responsibility and the thrill of discovery. Humanity had passed the final test. They had proven their ability to adapt, survive, and thrive, earning the trust of ancient powers and the hidden circle. The shadows receded, and the chamber settled into calm light. Evan led the crew to the doorway, stepping into the expanse beyond. Stars stretched endlessly, and the galaxy waited. Humans had been awakened to a reality beyond imagination, capable of facing challenges, discovering secrets, and shaping their destiny. The crowned one, Ira, remained with them, guiding and observing, but allowing them freedom to act and grow. The crew moved forward, united and determined. They had faced impossible challenges, adapted to forces beyond comprehension, and proven their potential. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders, threats, and possibilities. Humanity had been prepared for this moment, ready to step into a future where their courage, creativity, and adaptability would define their place among the stars. The journey continued, not as a test, but as the beginning of a new era, with Evan and his crew leading the way into the unknown, ready for whatever awaited them.